Season 2, Episode 5. I'm Sam Hilder, yet again co-hosted by none other than the Landon Melling.
What's going on, guys? Hope you all are having a great day.
Last episode, we talked about none other than what?
We talked about social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Otherwise.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce to everybody what today is going to be about.
Wait, what today's main topic or preemptive?
Both.
Okay, go for it.
So today, we're going to be doing a little touch-up on a topic he did earlier, which is paying college athletes. But before that...
Wait, back up. My episode before was specifically about basketball athletes being paid like NBA players.
We're going to not only talk about whether they should be paid or not, but we're going to come up with some alternatives and talk about the treatment of college athletes and talk about the whole experience together. I feel like I'm a good person for this subject because of the fact that I will be going on to play college sports next year. But before that...
And I'm not even going to college.
But before that, conspiracy theories.
Also, what I want to touch up on is about college prices. And is college going to eventually just be too expensive where the wealthy
It's going to be a lot about college in general. That's kind of going to be the theme. But before we get into that,
okay,
conspiracy theories. Little topic to get us going here. Do you have any particular...
Yes, the Malaysian flight of 370.
Tell everybody a little bit about it.
Okay, so this episode is going to be posted. Let's check real quick. This episode's posted on Tuesday the 17th, and this conspiracy theory says that on the 18th, something non-human is going to take over the world. So if you haven't heard about it before, get ready. You got 24 hours to build yourself a bunker.
Yeah, so do yourselves a little research. Look in the Malaysian flight conspiracy theory. So make sure if you're listening to this on April 17th, you subscribe before the world ends.
That's true. Well, the world is not ending. It's just being taken over by something non-human. We're still going to be alive, for sure. We're just probably a lot of us are probably going to get taken over. Anyways, apparently this Malaysian flight crashed somewhere, and there's so many, like, really coincidences or whatever you want to call it.
You can pull it up and talk about it if you want.
Oh, no, we're not going to go into huge detail on this one.
But there's something for you to look up. My conspiracy theory I want to touch on really quick. I actually learned about this one from my English teacher. He was talking about it in class, which is the dark side of... Well, it's Dark Side of the Rainbow conspiracy theory, which is the Dark Side of the Moon. The Pink Floyd album was completely written based off of the Wizard of Oz movie. The theory is that if you play the Wizard of Oz movie with the audio of it completely off, and you play the Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd album over it, everything will sync. Well, not everything, but there will be a lot of incidences of where it syncs perfectly. Now, Pink Floyd has come out against it and said that it's not true. That it's just a coincidence. But I think there's something. To it. It's worth looking into it. It's on YouTube. Dark Side of the Rainbow. You can find it. Totally would recommend looking into it. Anyway. Let's
especially if you're a Pink Floyd Pink Floyd fan, though. Like, if you're a fan of Pink Floyd, definitely look into this one. Yeah, or a fan of the movie Wizard of Oz.
Fan of Wizard of Oz, just a fan of conspiracy theories in general.
In factual fact, the guinea pigs are going crazy right now.
Guinea pig cage next to us, they're going nuts.
This is ridiculous.
Anyway, let's get into the topic at hand, which is payment of college athletes. We're going to be talking about whether they should be paid or not. College in general, just for other students. We're going to cover a lot of college athletics here. So,
if you've listened to the previous episode of where I talked about this, you'll already know my general stance. But I'll mention some different points in this.
So, what I'd like to start off with is how things already. Well, I think it's good to explain to the viewers already if they don't know. College athletes are already slowly starting to see a change in terms of whether they're getting paid. The Power 5 conferences, which is like the Big 10, Big 12, I think there's a couple other ones in there. I don't actually know all of them. SEC. Anyway.
NAIA?
That's not it. That's a different athletic division than the NCAA. Anywho. They are beginning to dole out these stipends. They're roughly 500.
Stipends, it's stipends.
It's whatever you want to call it.
It's a stipend. Because there's something called the stipend rule. But go on.
Thanks for that, Sam. So, anyway, what they're doing is they're paying out these small dollar amounts to football and basketball players at Power 5 conferences only. Like $500 a month or something like that. It might even be a little bit less. or a little bit more. It's right around there. So what they're doing is they're giving them this little bit of money to spend per month, however they want to do it, or however they want to use it. So some of those guys that stay off campus, that stay in off-campus dorms, they might use it for their housing. They might use it for their food. They might use it for whatever they may need. The rest of the NCAA conferences, Division I, Division II, Division III, or NAIA, as you're talking about in any sport, do not receive anything.
Any form of payment?
Any form of physical payment. Obviously, they get scholarships.
I was going to say.
They get, so if you consider that, then yes. But they do not get dollars in their hand. The reason that paying college athletes even came up, actually, was quite a few years ago. I can't remember the exact year. It might have been 2013, 2014, right around there. It was when the UConn men's basketball team had a Final Four run. There was a point guard by the name of Shabazz Napier who was being interviewed. And what he said in the interview was he would go to bed hungry a bunch of nights. He would go to bed without eating anything. He didn't have money for food. At that time, NCAA couldn't dish out any additional funds for food. They couldn't dish out any additional funds for really anything in general. So athletes were getting treated the same in terms of normal students when it comes to having to buy food.
Wait, back up. Why should students and athletes be treated differently?
Well, the reason that it's hard to make a comparison that all student athletes should be treated differently than just the normal students, because not that many sports actually bring in revenue to the school. The football and the basketball players, though, they make huge money for the school. The school and the NCAA in general get millions of dollars off these guys.
So you're saying players should receive a percentage of profit to be distributed between?
Not necessarily. I'm going to keep elaborating on my point. I'm going to go back to what I was talking about, which is the
particular college player.
There are kids that starve. There are kids that don't have enough money for the basic necessities. Well, NCAA came around. They changed that, so colleges have the option now to give athletes the unlimited food that they need, etc. Whatever that may entitle. So there's starting to be a shift there. But that's not a perfect solution, supposedly, for some people.
Well, of course it's not, because it's not being distributed between all divisions and all conferences.
Exactly. And it's really only for the top elite. Now, there's another guy who I'd like to talk about, which is, he was a football player for UCF. I know his last name was De La Hoya, or De La Haye.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. Yep.
He was the kicker for University of Central Florida. Had a YouTube page, pretty popular. I think he had over 100,000 subscribers.
He was decent. He was making cash.
He was making money off of it, and NCAA shut him down. Saying
they didn't shut him down.
Okay, they gave him a choice, which was he would lose the scholarship or continue playing, and he decided to leave the program and decided to do his own thing.
Wait, you got to be more clear with this. They gave him the option. They said, you either delete your YouTube page, and then we'll drop your scholarship and you keep playing, or you're done with college sports.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if he just quit the sport or if he quit the college in general.
I know he
definitely quit football with the program.
Yeah, he left the program. And then one more person I would like to talk about, Ryan Trahan. He is a YouTuber. He was a cross country runner at Texas A&M. I follow him a lot. I've watched a lot of his stuff. He's a really cool guy. He's got a lot of really good material. He wasn't actually, I don't think at that time when his incident happened in the fall, he was actually making monetary gain off of his YouTube channel. He was simply
leisurely posting.
Well, he was making videos, but he ran a company, Neptune Bottles, and they were doing really well. And the NCAA said that he was using his likeness to sell them. Like, he was using his YouTube channel to gain popularity because he was a runner at Texas A&M, Texas A&M and the NCAA gave him a choice. They said he could. See, his situation was a little bit different than the kickers because they gave him the option of you can actually do another YouTube account and you just can't have any reference to Texas A&M on there. Eventually, he did it for a little bit. He got sick of it and decided that this is what he wanted to do full time. He wanted to YouTube. He's gotten a lot bigger since that situation. I think he's got I don't remember his exact subscriber count at that point, but I know he's got over 35,000 now. So he's definitely grown quite a bit.
I am currently, don't mind the typing, I'm going to look up his YouTube channel to get his exact
But
name.
he is, regardless, all these, what they have in common is they are probably...
Name.
Ryan Trahan. They are for the payment of college athletes. Okay, he's got just under 35,000. I actually watched that new video, going vegan for a day. Anyway, so
Continue.
So what these people have in common is they believe that college athletes should be paid or that there should be an alternative solution. Ryan Trahan talked about in one of his videos. He thinks that they should just be allowed to make their own money on their own with their YouTube account. I think that makes the most sense to me. There are people that think that the colleges should just be in charge of giving them money, or the NCAA should just be dishing out money.
Before we move any further forward, I want to mention something. So, some sports, it's easier to go pro than others. So, a professional running career isn't necessarily being on a team. In a professional running career, you more or less have sponsorships that allows you to continue running in events and stuff like that. With football, you can go to professional teams. You can go to, I don't know what the just under professional. You know what I'm talking about? What that is?
Like semi-pro.
Yeah, but in NBA, there's the NBA G League.
There's options.
And there's stuff like that. So I want to mention something specifically towards basketball. In basketball, why I believe they should not get paid and they should only receive scholarships is purely because of the fact that if after just simply 1 year in college basketball, for example, Trae Young from the University of Oklahoma is already entering in the NBA draft projected number 1, 2, or 3 pick in the NBA 2018 draft after just his freshman year, and he will be going in and making at least $1 million for his first year.
More than that.
He was going to make way more than that, really, but I'm saying at least as a minimum contract, he's going to be making like $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I don't think, at least in basketball, they should not get paid is because they can enter a draft and become professional and make millions after 1 year.
Well, I'm not going to give too much of a spoiler. Well, actually, I guess I am going to give a pretty big spoiler in terms of what my opinion is, because I agree that they necessarily shouldn't be paid. However, with that being said, the amount of college basketball players that actually end up going pro is extremely small. We're talking a very small group. What you were saying was correct. With running, you think of professional runners and Olympians, they don't make a whole ton of money alone. They make some off of sponsorships. Obviously, the faster you are, the more you can get. At least with football and basketball, though, you tend to see it's contracted. You're guaranteed a certain amount. With running, it's sponsorships and then prize money, and that prize money is all guaranteed in your performance. It's not anything that's a certain that's gonna happen year after year. If you have a bad year where you're injured, your chance for monetary gain goes way down.
That's true.
Regardless.
Mm-hmm. So
I think, obviously, the NCAA is under a lot of heat. There's a lot of people that believe that they should be paid, and then there's a lot of students who are giving money out of their pockets that believe that they shouldn't be paid. There's a lot of people on both sides of it. I think that I have a pretty good grasp of the NCAA in that situation because I will be going on and competing next year, and I don't think that there's a reason to be paying them. I don't think that there's a reason that colleges or the NCAA itself need to be dishing out extra money for people.
Well, in your case, you are receiving a large scholarship.
Yeah,
we don't have to specify what it is or anything like that. But all I'm saying is, like, people in college sports in general, some of them are there just to do sports. Like, that's a fact. Some people are just there to do sports. All they want to do is sports.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason they're going to college. Other people are going there to learn. But ultimately, if you are going to college and you are paying for your education or getting it paid for, either way, you are there for college. And if you're there to become in professional sports, that's your own destiny and that's what you're in charge of. But you are not there for a job. You did not go and apply to that college and say, I'm here to get a job. You applied there because you said you were going there to learn and you were going there to get an education. And for that fact purely, I think there should be no checks or money going out to those players. However, there should be a rule lifted saying that you can make money in your own way with the references of the college you are going to, whatever, on YouTube, and you should be able to make money that way, monetizing, whether it's a podcast show, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's music, whatever it is, it should be able to reference whatever it wants, because these colleges don't have a specific law or any patent on saying that these colleges can't be referenced, or else there would be no ad revenue for these colleges. So I'm just saying they should be able to run their own stuff and to make monetization off of these references, because that's where their image comes from.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like one of the things that, not even just with YouTube, they like something such as modeling, that's using an athlete's likeness. You can't use that necessarily you can't use that as a way to make money. If you started doing it in college once you became an athlete, that's against the NCAA's rules. I feel like if something like that could be a little bit more tolerable, there's no reason that, the NCAA makes a lot of money, and that's our argument. That's what people's argument is that college sports make so much money. It costs a lot of money to run college sports programs in general. There's a lot of finances that go into running a college sports team, and a lot of that money that they make is used to further their athletic and then their academic programs. You're an ambassador of the school as an athlete. You're there to put your school in the best light possible, both as an athlete and as a person, and that's what you're there to do. So if you're trying to make an argument that money should be going into your pocket, that's not really fair, especially when you consider the value of an athletic scholarship in general.
Facts. I agree. I can agree. The big thing I think needs to be changed about college handouts, if you will, is how... See, I don't think it needs to be less strict, but I think there needs to be established rules that are clear throughout the communities of these college athletes and in these divisions, or whatever you want to call it, these leagues in general. There aren't clear-cut rules. They aren't gone over. They are just simply there. Yeah. There's nothing saying for these college athletes to do otherwise, Nobody sat in a room with these kids and said, hey, no, you can't do YouTube. Like, you can't do that. This may be your dream, that may be your dream, but you can't do that here. And nobody said that. It's just lightly written in the rules, and it's not deeply gone over. And so for that, I feel like these people shouldn't be punished the way they are.
Yeah, I feel like when you're talking about these YouTubers, I mean, these are these college athletes that are YouTubers. A lot of them, it's like their own business. That's how they're making money. They're running their own business. That's a life lesson. That's a valuable lesson to be able to have, and a valuable experience to be able to have, and be able to work hard to make your own money. I feel like,
Did you mention the guy who was doing the business out of his dorm room?
No, I actually am not familiar with that.
There was a college athlete who was doing business out of his dorm room.
For what? Do you remember what it was?
I do not remember the product. It might have been the water bottle guy. I'm not really sure. I thought that might have been. Anyways, you could find this. This is an easy article to find. He was doing business out of his college dorm room, and they considered that, inappropriate, which I can agree with. Like, you're not supposed to do business out of your college dorm room. That's not what that was intended for. But they made him. I think they filed like a lawsuit and got that business shut down, if I'm not incorrect.
That's possible.
But I feel like their disciplinary actions are overboard.
Yeah, I don't know about that necessarily. Rules are rules. And the NCAA, I feel like, does a great job in terms of putting on college athletics and making it accessible to people of all race, religion, sexual orientation, all that. And I like that. It's diverse and it's open to everybody. And if you have the skills and the abilities to partake in college sports, then you have the opportunity to do it.
Like, I could partake in college bowling if I was so happened to pursue that line of a dream, or if you will. However, I've chosen like my destiny already. I've chosen not to go to college and whatever, and I've chosen my job career. But there's a lot of sports in colleges that are not widely accepted yet for some reason. Like rugby is one of them. Golf is there, but it's not prominent in college sports. Bowling is one that's starting to come up, but only in lower division colleges. There's a lot of sports that still need to be accepted as a college sport, so athletes can still partake in those and get their scholarships and their opportunities. There's still opportunities that aren't being created as well.
Yeah, I agree with them. Yeah, there's good opportunities, but that's where the college football and basketball players come in, is they're generating that money for their schools. You know, while it's in the NCAA's hands to add more sports, which I think you're seeing more sports coming in, and I feel like every 10 to 15 years seeing another sport pop up is completely realistic. With that being said, though, it's up to these athletes, when they're making this money, they're allowing those other programs to exist. Cross country and track, what I plan on doing in college, doesn't generate really much, if any, revenue to the school. And my opportunity that I have there was presented because of the money that people in other sports make. And I understand that completely, and I'm thankful that there's people that the basketball players there are doing that and are creating the opportunity. Because if the basketball team is doing well, then that leaves opportunity for the other sports to do really well.
Definitely. I mean, if you have any additional information, go ahead and put it out now.
I think we did a nice job talking about it. I think we did a good job covering it. People have a lot of beef against the NCAA. I personally think that the NCAA is doing a very good job. I like what's going on, and I'm excited about next year. And I don't think college athletes need to be paid. I think if some of those opportunities for some of those guys that can establish themselves as YouTubers or whatever and are able to generate revenue off that, I think if that's the case, they should be allowed to do that. But with that being said,
there is a fine line between should they be or should they not be paid, and there are a lot of people that are veering on this should not be paid, just because it's not a profession and they're not going to be there forever. But there's also a lot of people on the side that says they should be paid. But however, I feel like it's saying that they are unpaid at the moment because of the amount of people that are still on the they should not be paid side. I feel like there's still a generous amount. I feel like it's still at least 65-35 on this situation.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe that it's probably going to stick that way for at least another 5, 6, 7 years.
If anything, being able to increase the scholarship count in other sports would be nice because, basketball and football, those guys are usually either walk-ons or they're on a full ride, at least if you're talking about Division I, because they're head count sports, which means that they don't split scholarships. They're just kind of one scholarship per person, and there's not really percentages. If they were able to expand that so that the sports had a greater scholarship count, I think that would be nice. I think that would be nice to see, and I think that as the NCAA grows and as college athletics will continue to grow for sure over the next however many years, that I think that opportunity will come up, which would be really nice.
And I also want to add this too. A lot of this is politics. America's in debt. A lot of these colleges are backed up federally by the government, and they're a lot of times still receiving money from them. And that money that we're receiving is going into this stuff. And at the same time, it's just an aspect where this stuff almost cannot keep continuing to grow unless we fix what's already happening within the politics, which is money-based everything. Everything's money-based. And that includes colleges get, federally backed from the government. And that money that is adding us into debt is some of it's still going towards colleges. So it's just an issue with money and within nations in general. So
yeah, I don't know about you, but I think that's a good note to wrap up on.
All right. I'm Sam Hiller.
I'm Landon Melling.
And we'll see you on another episode.
Peace out.